Are you struggling to come up with original content week in and week out? Start a podcast. Interview your ideal clients, let them talk about what they care about most, and never run out of content ideas again. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm James Carberry.
And I'm Jonathan Green.
Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. This episode is sponsored by Directive Consulting, the B2B search marketing agency. Today we are joined by Paul David. Paul is the founder and CEO at Identified Talent Solutions. Paul, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us, carving out a little time today. We're going to be talking today about developing a high-performing team. And we've got some great notes. We've got some great points that we're going to get to. But before we do, Paul, maybe you can tell us a little about what your team at Identified Talent Solutions is up to these days.
Yeah, so what we basically do is we're a human resource recruitment consulting company. So we do multiple different verticals between traditional staffing where we have contingent placement, direct hires, executive search, temporary and contract hires, which is the traditional swim lane. We also do retained search and also full outsourcing of recruitment departments with mid-sized companies that want to scale their recruitment departments pretty fast. So we're rather a boutique company. We like to stay small and nimble so we can provide a lot of solutions, or we provide different solutions to our customers' needs from a talent acquisition perspective.
Yeah, well, and I know that you're very effective at what you do. It's one of the reasons that we were so lucky to get you on the show today. You've put together, obviously, a high-performing team. So we're going to be talking about really how you can go about developing your own high-performing team and at least part of the journey that you have seen and the success that you've seen. So, Paul, I think we're going to start with this idea of hiring correctly and, kind of where you see other companies, what they do and what their priorities are versus what your priorities have been.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I can talk from, when I've been in the industry for the last 13, 14 years, and I think hiring strategies for the different size company on your goals are very different. If you're a very large, complex, multinational company, hiring is different there. But I mean, I'll speak for my company from starting ground up, and I think this might really work well with the entrepreneurs that are out there with the small and mid-sized companies. And basically, when you're small and when you're starting, and how I did this was I wanted to make sure that they understood the vision that I had for the company and what we were actually trying to do and what I wanted to do to change the industry that I was in. I'm in staffing, so I mean, it's a pretty robust industry. Majority of us, we're doing the same thing. I mean, what we're doing is we're connecting talent with companies. We're not creating a different product. We're not, creating software or anything like that. So I wanted to deliver services that were very, very different. Before I started Identified Talent, I was internal. So meaning that I was the one recruiting internally for customers. So I kind of saw it in a different point of view. And I had these staffing companies come to me. And there was things that I didn't like, and there was things that I did like. And I wanted to take the best of the best. And I wanted to also make sure that I understood what the needs of an internal recruitment department is so we can augment it in that fashion. So for me, when I started this, I wanted to, again, just kind of reiterate, I wanted to make sure that I was, for me, absolutely clear on the vision and the path that I wanted to go down, right? As far as my company and the services and what we stand for and what we can deliver. Now, when I was clear with that, I needed to find someone that was in line. When you're very small and you don't have that much resources and you're going to demand a lot of work from whoever you bring on, they need to be absolutely 1000% bought into the vision that you want to create and then the company that you want to create as well. So that's what I was looking for. It took me a long time to find the right group of people because they had to be bought in. It wasn't about like how much money that I can throw on your way or vacation time or PTO or sick time or ping pong tables or anything like that. They really needed to be bought into what I was doing. And also I needed to be bought into what they wanted to create in their life, right? I think employment seems to be very one-sided nowadays. It's like, I'm looking for this skill set. You need to have 5 years of this. You need to have a college degree in this. And we're asking the candidate to say, tell me what you can do for me. It reminds me of that JFK quote. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So I took that secondary as an approach to understand that, okay, if I'm going to get the best person that's going to align with my company, what can my company actually give to them? You know, and in order for me to know that, I needed to know what they wanted. You know, what are your goals outside of the company? I mean, do you want to buy rental property? I mean, it's whatever they want. You know, I'm looking for the long-term goal. Do you want to retire when you're 55? Do you want to retire when you're 75? Do you want to have like a 3-month vacation every year? And if so, how does my company and how do we need to maneuver to be able to provide that for you if we can? So I wanted to make sure that it was a two-way street. I think employing people are very much similar, like being in a relationship. You know, I think people tend to say it's 50-50. I'm married. It's never 50-50. It's 100-100 all the time. You know, sometimes there's going to be months where I'm like, I don't want to do this, and she has to go 100 and I have to go 100 and we're both going 100. And that's the thing, right? I think when you have a relationship, and it's no different because we're talking about people at the end of the day. So if it's a personal relationship, it's a marriage, it's a significant other, you know, to make things work, one, you have to be really clear on what you're trying to make work. And secondary, you have to be 100% invested into making it work. And when I say about making it work is not what feels good for me or not what I feel is right, but what actually makes it work. So that's the kind of vetting process that I look for. You know, obviously there's a skill set that I'm looking for, and there's like attributes or skills that they've carried as far as the hard skills and the tangible skills. But at the end of the day, it's really, really important when you're small to find that person that doesn't walk behind you, but that walks beside you. And when you fall down, runs in front of you too. And you need to be able to convey the vision of what you're trying to create and how your company is going to support them in their vision and their personal goals as well.
All right, today's growth story revolves around search engine marketing, and we'll be shining the spotlight on Aegis Software, a company that makes software for manufacturing operations. Aegis was one of the first companies in their space to invest in search marketing, but as competition grew, their performance plateaued. To counter this, they hired Directive Consulting, the B2B search marketing agency. With unparalleled experience in inbound lead gen for B2B companies, Directive was able to increase Aegis's monthly online leads by 457%, while at the same time lowering their cost per lead by 147%. Now I have a hunch that Directive can get these kind of results for you too, so head over to directiveconsulting.com and request a totally free custom proposal. That's directiveconsulting.com. All right, let's get back to this interview.
One of the things that struck me when we were talking before we started recording was that you know each of your employees' personal goals. And so it's obviously a very important priority for you and as part of developing a high performing team. But so not only do you have them bought in on your vision, not only are you aware of their personal goals, but you actually use that information to tie it back to the company.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we have weekly meetings, and for the most part, we're all virtual. So they can kind of work wherever they want. They can come in the office, they can work from home or whatever they want, right? So, however, every time we get together on a weekly basis, we talk about their goals too. I mean, it's like a family sitting down around the dinner table, right? So the reason why I do that, one, is just because I care. I mean, we're in a recruitment, we're in a people industry. Our services and our products are people. There's no way of getting around it. If you don't like people, you shouldn't be doing this. So the first thing that I want to know is like, what are your goals? Like from a single mother that wants to pay for her child's whole college tuition without having them take a loan, to a mother that has not been in the workforce for the last 12 years because she was raising her kids, getting back into an opportunity and being a contributor to their family. Those things are important to me. And the reason why they're important to me, because people are important to me, period. I became an entrepreneur because I wanted to change things in people's lives, not necessarily the industry, but in people's lives. And with that being said, I think I throw out a lot of quotes, Jonathan, but there's one quote that always resonates with me is people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. The minute, and I guarantee you, I can pay for a lot of people's hands, but I can't pay for their hearts. And the minute that someone knows that you absolutely care about them, they open up the world. I mean, that's just how it is. So that's why I think it's important to understand that if I have somebody in my company, I am the custodian to making sure they achieve not only the company goals, right? Because that's what makes us, that's our livelihood. But at the same time, how am I contributing to your personal goals? And is the company tying into that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it definitely sounds like all of that combined has a strong influence on your company culture and kind of what that means.
Yeah, it does. I mean, we are a people first culture, and when I established this, I didn't have any, rhyme or reason on what I wanted to create. I think we talked in the past. I didn't create a company because I wanted to create something colossal. I did it because I had to. Unfortunately, my wife passed away of cancer, and it was something that I needed to do. But it kind of metamorphosized into something incredible. So eventually, what I did was I called it my sandbox, right? Because I think it's like me and you, Jonathan. If we were 5 years old and we'd play in a sandbox, right? And we had like some cars and stuff like that, we can sit there for like literally like hours and just create like a utopia in a city and a subway system or whatever we wanted to create through our own imaginations. And I felt that when I was in, I guess I would say, lack of a better word, is traditional workforce, I didn't have that opportunity. And that's what I see nowadays, is that when I do talk to people that are looking for new employment or new opportunities, they're lacking in the creativity of like what they can do in the workplace, what they can affect, right? Because nowadays what we're told is like, you do this, you take this hammer, hit the nail, just keep hitting the nail all day and don't question anything, right? We're viewed as resources. But as human beings, we want to create. I mean, that's why you have your podcast. You want to create things and you want to share things and you want to do things. So I called my company my sandbox. So they're able to create things and do things and collaborate without like any backlash. So, the creativity really helps that, award that high performing culture. And I would really implore like other employers to be able to let your employees do that. Let your employees create. Let your employees make mistakes. It's like when you're a little kid and you make a mistake and you're like, hey, you made a mistake. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, Paul, obviously, you've built a successful company. You're passionate about your employees. Creativity, as you just said, is a priority for you. So I think this is all probably going to be wrapped up in at least partially in this next question. But we have been asking a lot of our guests, what kind of legacy are you hoping to leave behind at the end of the day?
That's a really good question. I think the legacy that I want to leave behind is that I want to make sure that everyone that I do touch, one, I have helped achieve their goals, right? Because I think, here's my quote again. It's like people forget, what. Sometimes people forget what you do for them, but they'll always remember how you touch them. And I want to make sure that that I guess when I leave this earth, what people will say to me is that I was absolutely committed to their betterment, and what they can achieve as a person, right? Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that, I think it helps from a whole standpoint. And I do it in the realm of employment and career, is because that I want to make sure that they're happy in their employment and their career, because that's what really fuels their livelihood, at the end of the day, right? Like, I think if we can get people, or if at least I can get people, at least my team, to really, really be enthusiastic about their life, then what happens is that carries on to their kids, and that carries on to their family, and that carries on to their friends. And it's like a pebble in a stream that it affects a lot of people. It might sound very like utopian, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't care. It's, it's what I want to leave behind. So hopefully that answers the question on like, what kind of legacy I want to leave behind.
Yeah, it does. It does. And what's wrong with being utopian about
there's
that? There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
That's funny you said that, because like, sometimes like I let people visit my meetings, and sometimes I get freaked out by the excitement that's there, right? Like, oh, why are you guys so happy? I'm like, why are you not? Right? So it's like this weird norm to like come up to somebody and say, hey, how you doing? I'm fine. What's new with you? Same old, same old. Why is that okay? And why are you okay? Why are people okay with that? So that's where I think we kind of need to shift. So,
Fantastic. Well, absolutely. We wish you success with your legacy. We wish you continued success with Identified Talent Solutions. And speaking of which, Paul, if anyone in our audience they're interested in, learning more about today's episode, they're interested in connecting with you, they're interested in connecting with Identified Talent Solutions, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, every social media at Identified Talent Solutions. You can connect with me. I have a personal website, paulmichaeldavid.com. I'm also Paul Michael David on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. If anyone wants to connect with me, it's pretty easy. Just type Identified Talent Solutions or Paul Michael David, and you'll find me. You can connect with me through any of the media channels.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you so much for your time today, Paul. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
There are lots of ways to build a community, and we've chosen to build the B2B growth community through this podcast. But because of the way podcasts work, it's really hard to engage with our listeners. And without engagement, it's tough to build a great community. So here's what we've decided to do. We're organizing small dinners across the country with our listeners and guests. No sales pitches, no agenda, just great conversations with like-minded people. We'll talk business, we'll talk family, we'll talk goals and dreams. We'll build friendships. So if you'd like to be a part of a B2B growth dinner in a city near you, go to b2bgrowthdinners.com. That's b2bgrowthdinners.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.